Well, a Fox SA viewer thought she was being warned about unusual activity on her account, but the call she got wasn't from her bank. Instead, it was from scammers who eventually tricked her into giving them access to thousands of her hard-earned cash. And she's not alone. Fox SA's Darian Trotter has a scam warning in tonight's Problem Solver report.
And I uncontrollably crying. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy just stole my money. Like, what I've seen happen on TV just happened to me.
Angelica Patino fell for a scam and now joins the growing list of bank customers bilked out of their hard-earned cash.
It still makes me mad because that's my money. I work hard for our money.
Like a growing number of bank customers, it all started with a phone call and a familiar name on the caller ID.
It said USAA.
The USAA ID is the only reason Angelica says she answered. She was on the road with her kids, driving from Lubbock to San Antonio, and figured if USAA was calling, it had to be important.
They had all my information. They had my address. They had my phone number, they had my login information. And so I really thought I was talking to USAA.
She says the person on the other line claimed to be from the fraud department, calling to warn about a string of unusual charges on her debit card.
He told me there was a charge going to Target, a charge going to Best Buy, and a charge at a gas station.
All of it, she says, was made up to apparently get her worked up enough to follow the caller's request to take swift action to protect her account from further fraud. We'll come back to Angelica in a moment after we go over what happened to our Yami Virhin.
It said important action required.
You know her and her popular tagline.
And remember, you can run, but you can't hide from Fox SA viewers.
Yeah, her. Well, look at what she got via text. It looks like an urgent fraud warning from USAA asking Yami to review her employer information. But take a look at this line that reads, associated with U account. If improper use of grammar wasn't a red flag, the fact that Yami is not a USA member sure was. So she turned it over to me. Bank fraud is a serious problem nationwide, and it's not limited to any one financial institution. Recent stats show 3 out of 10 bank customers experienced some type of fraud within the past year. Imposter scams remain the top fraud category, resulting in $2.7 billion in losses. It's when bad guys pretend to be from your bank's fraud department, the government, a tech support expert, or a relative in distress, which is how Angelica was targeted. Before she knew she was tricked, she was grateful for the fraud alert.
I'm thanking this guy, and he's like, oh yeah. He was like, I'm here for you, anything you need.
In order to protect her account, she says the man on the line talked her into removing the compromised card from her wallet and Apple Watch. Next, to see if the removal was successful, he had her first try to transfer $2,000 to her Apple Cash balance.
It went through. And he's like, really? It was supposed to deny it.
So he had her try again, this time $1,400, and it too went through. A third transfer, though, for $900 was declined.
And I said, okay, now it stopped it. He's like, okay, good, that's what we want.
Next, the man had her transfer the combined $3,400. After convincing her the old routing and account numbers were compromised, he conveniently provided her new numbers to make the transfer. But that money did not go into her account.
Then I asked him, I was like, why does my savings account only say $200? And then he hung up on me. And I was like, in that moment when he hung up, I was like, oh my gosh, I just got scammed.
Hoping she was wrong, Angelica called USAA.
He was like, ma'am, you have not talked to USAA today.
She says USAA gave her a temporary credit for $3,400 while they investigated her fraud claim.
The next month, they said that it wasn't fraudulent, that I allowed this to happen because I transferred it to my Apple Cash and then transferred it to him. And I used my biometrics to allow all this to happen.
Angelica says she tried for months to get USAA to see things her way, that she was a victim of fraud and needed USAA to refund her money. But nothing, she said, would work.
I can't believe it happened. I hear stories about it all the time, and it's crazy that it happened to me. And USAA did nothing about it.
After a series of our report on bank fraud at USAA, the company announced internal changes to the way they address bank fraud and the members who become victims. They include a public apology and recommitment to give members the support they deserve. Since then, USAA has agreed to work with us by reviewing cases we submit to them. Many of those cases have been overturned and customers refunded. Angelica is now one of them. USAA refunded her money minus what she had spent during the provisional credit. Problem solved. I'm Fox SA's investigative problem solver, Darian Trotter.